you know, sometimes, and even on this album that I'm putting out, it's like some lines are like gut punchers, and then others are way more like impressionistic and kind of like open to interpretation. It's like, I know what they mean to me.
Before we get things rolling, cheers. Thank you for being here, Jack.
My pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course. First things first, I want to let everybody know who's listening that this Sunday, when this episode comes out, we'll also be doing a live stream for the show for Jack's new album, Mirage, which is coming out on Sunday, June 6th.
It's coming out on Friday, June 4th.
Friday, June 4th, but
Yeah.
we're doing a live stream here
On
on the
Sunday.
6th.
Yeah.
Sweet. So everyone, tune into that. But do you mind giving everyone a little description of who you are, what you do?
Yeah. My name's Jack Adams. I'm a singer-songwriter. I've been here in New York for 8 years or so, a little longer, making music, playing in bands, putting out a lot of music. This year in particular, I've put out a lot of projects. You know, it took me a long time to get my first EP out there, and then once that happened, I've sort of just been putting things out at a pretty rapid clip. So
Word.
I've been excited about that.
Nice. And so before we get into the music part, which I think was really cool, because I've listened to a lot of your sort of older stuff, and it's kind of Springsteen-y, Dylan-y kind of, and this project you seem to go in sort of a different direction. I got some Prince vibes. I don't know, I'm just saying.
I'll take it.
Anyways, me and you met probably about 7-8 years ago, something like that.
Yeah,
2013, 2014.
Yeah, when you moved to the city.
Totally.
You know,
and we were working at the hotel. We were working at, rest in peace to the Nomad, R.I.P. We were both
Maybe
Bellman.
they'll be back. We'll see.
Yeah. I biked by there today, and they said it says work in progress or something. So
Gotcha.
I'm like, aren't we all?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we had a lot of really great times there.
Of course,
we were talking about earlier the Coors. This was a Bellman closet staple.
Classic Coors Banquet.
Either that or red wine.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, yeah, you know, just we were doormen together for a long time.
Totally.
And so we, you know, just hanging out at the door, helping people with bags, having a good time.
Having a good time.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So, but from then till now, sort of you've been sort of, I know you as sort of a folky guitar playing kind of style.
Yeah.
Can you talk about sort of how that sort of led you into this project?
Yeah, I mean, I've been, you know, I'm a fan of music all across the board, so it's been nice with this project to kind of bring in other influences that I've had. I mean, I definitely, for a long time, it's acoustic guitar, harmonica, voice, a lot of folky solo kind of country sets on my own. I've had a few bands over the years that have all kind of been firmly in the rock and roll, almost southern rock, country rock, that kind of vibe, Americana. And with this project and kind of a lot of the projects that I put out this year, it's been about kind of synthesizing all these other influences that I had, getting a little more experimental, trying out different kinds of instruments. You know, I've been home. We've all been sequestered at home or in the studio or wherever we've been for the last year or so. So
yeah,
it was nice to.
So you got a chance to work on a lot of music during this pandemic. I mean,
work on a lot of music, but freeing myself up to also work in these other mediums, like this album Mirage, like you were talking about. It's way more synth driven, organ driven, drum machines. I was using a delay pedal to kind of dub out certain elements and kind of make them, you know, kind of
wobbly.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally,
Yeah.
Cool. So there was one, I think it was called Lay It As You Play It.
Play It As It Lays.
Play It As It Lays. That was
Lay
fun.
It As You Play It.
Lay It As You Play It. That was a fun one.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
It starts in this like kind of drony, weird synth, like, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but then it goes into this sort of like more robust, kind of flushed out thing that's like kind of catches you by surprise a little bit. I
Thanks.
thought.
I'm glad you liked that one.
Yeah.
That's
that was cool because I was like, okay, where's he gonna go with this initially?
Yeah.
And then it's just like, oh.
Yeah, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Has there? So I like to talk about like sort of the process of the artist.
Cool.
You know, like I like to talk to different artists. It's sort of part of what I'm doing here, like as a project, and I like to take it on the road of, you know, speaking with artists about sort of their process for, you know, to have a better understanding of sort of the dynamics of the creative process.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and we've actually, you know, I think so I want to know about that a little bit.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think was the most definitive kind of aha moment for me creatively, or like, you know, I can be creative and sort of hone it a little bit, was when we did this book called The Artist's Way.
Yeah.
Right. And you're the first person I went through it with, which was kind of like, you know, that was a very changing, you know, few months for me, where, you know, I went through this sort of growth where I could sort of understand tools of creativity and sort of how to harness and hone those sort of techniques and skills.
Yeah.
So is there, like, you know, what is your process when you're working on a project? Can you break that down at all?
Yeah, it kind of changes process to process, or project to project rather, but it always, I always try to, I mean, every day I write from the artist's way. Like I was writing all the time anyway, but having the morning pages exercise that you do definitely was something that I was already doing in some way, but having these new kind of rules to follow surrounding it just kind of solidified that a little bit more.
Totally.
So what I really like having is right now I have a rehearsal space where I keep all my equipment, all my gear. I have all my... And
you're based out of Brooklyn, just for everyone.
Yeah, based out of Brooklyn, living in Bed-Stuy, but I have a spot out in, you know, Bushwick. Yeah, so I have all my equipment there, and I'm able to basically walk in, flip a switch, and start recording, which has been really nice because the breakdown setup of recording is always such a hassle, and it just kills kills the creative vibe that you're, you know, following. I think David Lynch talks about that too, about just having 4 hours of uninterrupted creative time, and, you know, somewhere where you can just kind of go without having to set it up or break it down or anything like that.
Totally. I think that's a huge part of you know, I find that to be the biggest downfall of a lot of creative people is there's this friction that gets in the way of them doing what they imagine doing. Yeah. You know, and so and a lot of people, creatives, I see they're sort of in their own way about sort of breaking down that friction, you know? Yeah. And I think that's the goal really for creative. If you can just flip on a switch and you're doing, you know, you're loose, you're flowing in what you're doing. You don't want to you don't want to break things down into things that you want to play music, you know? Yeah. So
you want to make the time between impulse and action as short as possible.
Totally.
Because if you don't get in there super quick, it goes away and it vanishes, and then you're just like, what was I singing? What was I saying? What was the tune of whatever I was doing? And then it's gone, and that's
totally. And it's sorry. And it's about it being replicable. You know, that process. Yeah. You know, I think that's really important. Is if you stumble upon something and, you know, finally you get this thing out by happenstance, and that's cool, but can you sort of do it again and again and again and sort of, you know, tap into that well all the time?
Well, that's a tough thing, because that's kind of in terms of process, you want to be able to get into that creative flow. But what I've been enjoying a lot, and I think what's been making some of the art that I've been making more recently more gratifying for me, is trying to capture the music as close to the source of the inspiration as possible, which is why it's nice to be able to flip a switch and start recording, because I don't know if you can record it as close to the writing of the song as possible, or as close to when you yourself as the artist are most excited about it, that I feel like it comes through.
100%.
And that's what makes I don't know, you know, people like Bob Dylan or Neil Young exciting because they record, or even like, you know, Miles Davis or like jazz people, because it's like live and it's happening for the first time right there.
Totally.
And you can kind of feel it.
Totally. Yeah, I think that's you know, that's the replicable part of the part of that I'm talking about, where you can sort of do it live, and you know, you're in your mode. Like, you've never seen Miles Davis like fucking around with his fucking shit in the back. You know what I mean? He's just like, he's got his fucking horn and he's ready to go, you know? Motherfucker. Play that shit. Cool. So is there did you have anything else to say about your inspiration, your creative process? So I want to talk, I want to talk
specifically about this project, or just in general?
In general.
Yeah.
You know, that is, like I said, it's something that I'm interested in, and sort of trying to find like a common denominator for. Like, you know, I see a lot of creative people, and sort of what makes them sort of be uplifted by what they do, and like be able to do what they do effectively. That, like, you know, it's almost like magic. Just, you know, you like do this and this, and all of a sudden this happens, and it's like, whoa.
Well, there is that trance you get in.
Totally.
It's kind of like you have an idea, and it starts kind of just, for me sometimes I'll, you know, if I get a line or something for a song or whatever it is, excuse me, it's it'll just kind of keep nagging on me, and it'll just be cyclical almost. It'll kind of just loop in my head of the same line over and over and over again, and then that's when you know, rush and get a pad of paper or whatever and write it down.
I think that's an important thing right there, what you just said, like just writing it down, getting it down is like, you know, key. Yeah,
because, and the worst is when sometimes you'll be going to sleep at night or whatever, and you just are, you know, you're lazy, you're tired, you're in bed, and you think of something, and you go, I'll remember it in the morning. Totally. I'm not going to write it down. Totally. And then you wake up, and even if it wasn't that great of a line or idea, you're convinced that it was the
$1 million ticket. Hell yeah.
You're convinced it was the idea that would be the thing to change your life or whatever.
Totally. So I was just thinking about that. You said that there was a line in a song, and there's no way that we're going to be able to figure out what line it was, but it was in one of your songs.
Oh, cool.
That I was like, I'm going to get this tattooed on me. Like, it was like something about being like, it was from the project where you're in the water.
Oh, yeah.
There was like a song about like
EP.
Letting free and can't something. I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyways, it was a very profound line, and I'm like, I gotta text Jack, and I completely like it's buried in my mind.
Yeah,
it was something about flying or paper or.
I can't. Was it that?
It might have been the one with the
song.
With the harmonica.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
It doesn't help anybody. Beautiful Storm, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. If it comes to me,
yeah. But that reminded me of that, because I've been meaning to tell you about that, and you just sparked that back in my mind.
Oh, thanks,
I'm
man.
Like,
that's sweet.
That was a good line. That's a dope little line you had there.
That's what I try and do, you know?
Yeah. Is there any other, like, well, I know you, obviously, but for anyone who doesn't know, you have you do other creative outlets?
Yeah.
I mean, probably some that I don't know, but I do know that you do photography.
Yeah, I do a lot of photography.
So you do some, like, do you do like painting? You do everything.
Yeah,
you do dabble. I kind of do
I do a little of a lot.
Yeah.
I do a lot of photography just because, that's something I've been doing almost as long as playing music. I started in high school when I was 16, doing photo class, and basically since then I've tried to always have a camera on me in some capacity.
Totally.
And so, yeah, just walking around taking pictures of, especially in New York, you see so many cool things all the time, and and what I like about it, it's different from songwriting because it's immediate.
Mm-hmm.
You see something, you like it, or it strikes something in you, and you feel the urge to take the photo, and then you set it up, you take it, and then it's done. Then the moment's gone, you have it. You'll develop it or get it developed or whatever it is later, but there's something just really, you hear that shutter close, and it's just like, okay, picture's done. I can't do anything about it. I have to let it go.
Totally.
Because it's a hard thing, or a lesson I've been trying to learn this year about letting go and being less of a perfectionist about all my art and music, and just kind of letting it be as it is. Because I don't know, as you know, that first EP that I released, it took me forever to put out. I was writing the songs, I was honing it over and over, I was playing them live. I had like a couple different bands where we were playing them, and it was just like, it was heavy on me, and I didn't want to let it go. And once I finally did, it kind of made me go, I want to start to approach this from a different way.
Totally. And what is that? What's that approach?
That approach is the more, try to record it quickly, full takes, capture the live performance of it instead of doing the studio thing where it's layer upon layer upon layer upon layer, and you have to do it to a metronome and perfectly precise and all that stuff. And that is good. I mean, that has its purpose for other things, but for me at this point in my life, I wanted to do something a little more immediate. And my output, for better or worse, has greatly gone up.
I think that's for better, probably.
I think so too. But I'm just putting everything out, and I'm just like, all right, here it is.
Totally.
Here it is, everybody. Even if like, and I'm pretty proud of all of them, but you know, it's like just like warts and all. Here it is. Like, enjoy.
I think that's super important.
Yeah.
You know, like I think it's interesting for people to see other people's growth as well, you know, and like that's better than not seeing anything. You know, if you're doing something and your next project's better, and you know, I met, you know, Gil Scott Heron.
Yeah.
Right. So I got this story. my name drop. I didn't even meet him. I met one of his best friends, right?
Okay.
But he gave me a piece of advice that I always think about, probably like every day, like anytime I do anything, you know?
Yeah.
And the advice that he gave me was, whatever you do the most, you do the best, you know?
Yeah.
So like for better or for worse, you know, if I roll a bunch of joints, I'm going to be good at that.
Yeah.
If that's good, you know, I'm a master of that, you know? And so anything that I do, I find that if I'm doing it, like the process of you putting out music isn't just you making music and putting it out. It's like you're going through that thing of, I'm putting out more music.
Yeah. I'm
doing that more, so I'm getting better at it. That process. Not even just the music making process, but everything involved.
Which, you know? I mean, you gotta... Nowadays, if you're just putting stuff out all the time, or you're independent and don't have a label or anything like that, you are everything. You're
totally.
You know, you're marketing it, you're promoting it, you're
recording it.
You're recording it, you're writing it, you're doing all the promotion and everything. It's like, it's a lot, but I've been, with each new release, I get a little better at it, and I learn from my mistakes, and I learn what works and what doesn't work so much, and it's been. It's a process.
Have you thought about taking it out on the road?
I would love to.
Yeah.
I think I'm at a point. I mean, it depends on what kind of show I want to do. Obviously, it's a lot easier if I just want to go out on the road myself. I could either do that with a guitar, or because this new album is very keyboard based, I could. And I've been, you know, we're going to do that on Sunday. That's a little more of what that show's going to entail is.
Very excited.
Loops and keyboards and me singing and controlling the delay and effects and things like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're sort of building in like a live show in that. Like this is how you've been recording. Like you've been recording it sort of live and turning knobs and
for this album, that's what I did.
Nice.
I mean, I kind of with this one, I recorded the songs. These songs have had a very long life, actually, weirdly enough. I started writing these songs in 2018 in July. Excuse me. I started writing them then, but they've formed from these really long improvisatory sessions that I would just have at my house. I had a friend who gave me an old Yamaha keyboard, and then I had another Yamaha like practice keyboard, digital piano, and I would find a beat that I liked on this Yamaha Literally, I would find a beat that I liked, and I'd be like, oh, that's cool. And then I was like taking the tempos way down, like cutting them in half almost. Yeah, I mean, it's like exactly. I was
like that.
Totally, exactly like that.
Yeah, nice. That's fun. I love pitching things down, dude.
Oh yeah, man, it was a blast. Like I wasn't able to pitch them down, which would have been sick.
Oh, so
it was just the tempo. So it's like some beat that would be like would all of a sudden be like. And I was kind of like, okay, and I was like, yeah. And I was like, I don't know. I was weirdly like in like slow jam territory at that time. I was listening to a lot
D'Angelo.
of that. Yeah.
Flow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, some Sade, some D'Angelo.
Hell yeah.
Just like I was kind of in that zone for whatever reason, and was like just writing these. I was just finding the beat and then coming up with something on the keyboard, and I had my voice memo on my phone going.
Of course.
As one always should.
Yeah.
But then I would just record me basically like singing whatever I wanted, just whatever came to mind, super subconscious, and coming up with melodies and things like that. But I would do it for like a half hour or 45 minutes or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then I'd have this idea where I was just like, okay, well, I got this whole thing, but it's this vibe. Mm-hmm. And so then what I did was I would listen to the songs basically like over and over again, try and translate what I was singing, because sometimes it wasn't so like clear on the recordings, and sometimes it was just gobbledygook, you know? It was subconscious ramblings. Yeah.
Close your eyes and let it rip.
Weird noises going on.
Yeah.
Which like is something that like, I don't know, that's something Marvin Gaye does, I heard.
Totally.
Like, or like, you know, even heard like Bono does that shit too, you know?
I heard Kanye does it too.
I think everybody kind of engages in that.
No one says
level.
that they do, but yeah.
I didn't mean to say Bono so derisively.
I think Bono even does it.
Yeah, you too. One of the most successful bands of all time. But like I went through that. I would listen to them over and over again, try and write down what I was saying, like what I thought I was saying, and then kind of paring that down to the best lyrics, and then changing certain things, and then kind of
then you would like run through it again, like in that, like with that newfound information.
Yeah, then I would take all that, and I would basically have editing sessions of like, okay, like these are the lines that I like, or these are the parts that I like, and like, okay, that'll be a verse, that'll be a verse, that'll be a verse, or like this will be that. And so it was kind of this weird. In the process of doing it, it sort of taught me how I was feeling. And it sort of, like, I would read what I was singing in these subconscious moments, and then kind of read it back and be like, whoa.
That's crazy. That's a crazy thing to do with songwriting.
Yeah,
you know? Like,
man. I've never done that before.
I sometimes I'll like, I used to like rap and like, and I think about the stuff I was saying. I'm like, this is so like definitive of how I feel in such a like a poetic way. Yeah. I'm like, whoa, this.
Yeah, and you're expressing yourself.
Totally.
Because you're recording it, it's captured. You know, how you were feeling was captured in that moment. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the iRig? Have you heard of this device?
I don't think so, no.
So basically, you can still do voice memos. It's like a little capture device. Yeah. I use it for like audio. It's super small. I have one over there. I'll show you when we're off. But basically, you can you could take an output of your board or whatever.
Yeah.
If you're running through a board, I imagine, or some type of mixer.
Yeah.
Like you could take an output of that and run that basically into your iPhone as like a capture device. So you could get cleaner voice memos, and it's super simple.
That's cool.
Something to think about.
I think. Is that what a lot of people do for when they're, playing on Instagram Live or whatever, and they got a microphone and everything?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, it's handy. It's a handy little device. I test on voice memos. I do like my audio testing for my I'm sort of trying to figure out how to navigate the live streams with Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram just like doesn't have a system that's built for like what I do into it.
Yeah.
So my idea is I can take basically audio and pump that into this iRig into an Instagram feed.
Yeah.
Only one shot, but if I could get it cool one shot and good audio, I'm kind of okay with that.
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
yeah,
And
exactly.
I think we'll probably try that.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
So
Yeah.
we'll actually see it in action.
I'll see it. See it sooner. Sooner than I
Yeah,
thought.
cool. So, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It was in my mind. I'm like, I gotta tell him
Yeah,
about this because
yeah.
this is like a super cool thing.
No,
But,
yeah.
So that's how you were sort of approached this project.
Yeah, and so these ones, a lot of these recordings, those initial voice memo recordings, they were made in like 2018. They were like made at home, me just jamming out, and then because I don't know, it's just the last one of the things that I've been working on. It's the last one that I'm putting out, even though it's kind of some of the oldest material. But it just feels like, I don't know, sometimes, and I have a buddy, you know Jay, you
Yeah,
met Jay.
totally.
He once said something about how it feels like art is always like even a couple years ahead of you, something like that, where it's like my art is 2 years ahead of me, or like, you know, somehow if you're really tapped into that kind of subconscious, you know, stew that you're in, like your art is going to be like somehow, like if you're like tapped into to yourself, to the collective of unconscious, whatever it is, it's like you're almost like making something and then like living into it.
I believe that's true.
Yeah.
I believe that's you know, I think there's like an approach that you take where you sort of you live, you know, like creatively, and that sort of how you express yourself in that one single moment is also how you'll express yourself continuously throughout, say, those 2 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
They're like very definitive of how you feel at that moment and probably at many moments during that time.
Yeah.
You know?
Leading up to it, during and after.
Right.
You know, but it's just this kind of distillation of
That moment or
That
that era.
yeah, exactly.
And
This
that's why I
definitely
think
feels
it's
that
really
way.
important to like put out work and do work.
yeah.
And that's why I've been really, you know, and I've been in the same way. I've been trying to just, you know, kind of put out stuff sort of publicly just to have it be out and get familiar with that process of putting things out and, you know, building and growing. It's like I'm not going to get there without doing it, you know, and it's relieving for me. Like, you know, there's so much stress around doing this thing, and then I edit it, finish it. Okay, this is the process that I'm willing to take with it, and that I've defined for myself. So I'm going to do that, and that makes me feel good. You know, like we were talking about upstairs, like checking those boxes is really
Totally.
Feels good.
Yeah, you know, I mean, that checking those boxes, I mean, it's just like you get into that state of where we were talking about staying busy and working on stuff and just not slowing down enough to kind of second guess yourself, and you can just kind of, once you're in that state of putting things out, sharing things, you can kind of stay there, and then you end up checking off those boxes,
Totally.
getting
And
a lot more done.
And I find that people, like, you care way more than people care. You know,
100%.
like you care 1,000 times more than, you know, and they just want to have quality. They just want to see something cool. But for you, it's like, oh, this is my defining baby kind of thing. But I really, you know, you have to sort of like, and if you live where every moment, it's not like this thing is so precious because I can never make it again. It's more like, I can make this again. I made it once. I'm confident that I can do this again and again and again.
Or I'll make something different.
Yeah.
You know,
and it'll be cooler and better. Or as cool, you know?
Exactly. As long as I'm giving myself 100% to it, like, that's all that matters. And as long as it's something that you're proud of, that you've worked really hard on, that you are doing the self-examination that kind of comes with art making, like, it'll be gratifying regardless. Totally. To you. And that's really what you should be doing anyway most of the time, is just working for you.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So what's next after this project?
Well,
you gonna do some promotion, I assume, try and,
you know, sending this out to
the masses.
trying to get little more attention on it. See if I can. I made a music video that I've been like. I just put out. I edited it myself.
Yeah,
which
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I put it.
Is it
out.
on your Instagram?
It's on my Instagram. It's on YouTube. It's on all that stuff.
And just because we're talking about it, what's your Instagram? So people can.
Jack Francis Adams.
Jack Francis Adams.
Full name.
Nice.
Yeah.
Instagram.
You got a
Facebook?
I got a Facebook, Jack Adams. I got a Twitter.
He's on all that.
Yeah, I got the whole thing. I think my Twitter's. I keep changing my Twitter because.
Do you use Twitter a lot?
Not really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get Twitter. I think I missed that. I missed the boat years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I just never really. It was never my thing. I liked Instagram more.
Yeah, Twitter seemed like too chaotic for me.
Yeah,
you know, I couldn't get a grasp on what I was even supposed to be doing. You know?
Yeah.
It's like I'm just expressing my ideas.
Yeah, you're just reacting. I guess.
I guess a part of it that I wasn't really tapped into was like reacting to other people. I wasn't following cool people and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's just
No,
like I'm just tweeting out like I'm eating a chicken sandwich.
Yeah, you're just following
like
your friends.
8 people.
Yeah.
Like
8 people who are like, cool, bro.
Yeah. Not even. There's just like like you can like tweets, I guess.
Yes, you can.
Okay. I think it maybe, yeah.
No, yeah. It was never really like, I mean, I try and use it, but I was just looking at it the other day, and it's mostly just my Instagram is tied to it. So it's just a bunch of Instagram posts.
Yeah, it's like Instagram, yeah.
I'm just like, all right, cool.
But you're heavy on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm heavy on Instagram. I've been trying to, it's fun. It's a weird, social media is a weird thing because I'm not really like, I'm trying to have more fun with it and just trying to post whatever I want and not caring so much about it, not thinking about it. So literally I'll see something cool on the street and I'll just be like, boop, and then like send it out into the world and not trying to curate it so much.
Yeah.
I don't know, just trying to have it be a little more connected to your brain in a weird way, which that also, there might be some danger in that as well.
Yeah, I think so. I don't like social media very much. Yeah. Do you need you finished that beer?
I got all my liquids.
You got beer? Plenty of beer?
I got beer.
I think there's like there's a danger to Instagram, and I don't know. I just don't really like it. I think it's more important to live life.
Of course.
Like the stuff that I post on Instagram is like 0.5% of like the actual cool shit, and probably and bad shit, I suppose. But like the cool shit, like you know. Instagram's like my last thought. It's like, oh, I'll just, do this for Instagram so that, people know I was here or whatever. But I'm like, you didn't catch her 5 minutes ago when I pissed in the fucking in the alley and then fucking ate some ceviche.
Well, you don't want to put that on your story, Maybe you're close friends.
Yeah, close. Like close. I haven't gotten into that either.
No, I mean it's.
What am I supposed to put on there?
Like, on your close friends?
Yeah. Dirty stuff? Like pictures of my poop?
No, don't do that. Bro.
No.
I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
I'm your close friend and I don't want to see that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No one wants to. I don't want anyone to see that. Can I only put that on my not close friends?
You could.
They should have an enemies.
No enemies.
They should have an enemies.
New single out now.
Is that your
the song.
Speaker, yeah.
Stupid.
They should have an enemies group. That would be dope. I know some people I would definitely send some hate shit.
No hate. Let's just keep it.
All right.
Let's love everybody on Instagram.
All right. Fair enough.
No, I know what you mean though, man. It's like you just got to find a way to do it that makes you happy and makes you not stress about it. I've been in like promotion mode, so I've been like, I got to post and hashtags and blah 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 blah, and like. Yeah, it's not as fun. It's it's just like, but at the same time, like the other night, I was at my practice space and I was rehearsing the songs that we're gonna do on Sunday, and I had this idea to kind of just like play guitar over it and sort of solo. So I went live at like 1 a.m, and like I think like one person was watching me, and
that's cool.
I didn't care though. I was just like, what's up, you and me?
Yeah.
Like, or then now it's just on my page too for people to, I don't know. I had the impulse to just kind of be like, oh, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I'll document this for people if they want to see it. It's there. It's like, by no means do people need to be on there or need to look at those things, but like it's there if you want it.
Yeah, totally.
It's there if you want it.
And you're proud of it.
Yeah, I was happy with what I was doing. I was like, this sounds cool. Maybe I'll add this into the show or whatever. And I just kind of felt the spark, and it's like the creative spark in a weird way. I mean, I don't. It's just that acting on impulse as opposed to second guessing yourself. Because once you get into that phase of going like, no one wants to see it anyway. What does it matter? No one cares. Then you've already lost, you know. I mean, you can still do it after that, but I think that exists in every person in general, but artists as well.
Totally.
Just that kind of moment of being like, oh, no one cares. What does it matter? I'm not going to share that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you got to push through that and just, as soon as you get it, be like, ah, and then, I don't know, you'll be happier for doing it. Because then you won't be like wondering what would have happened if I didn't do that.
No regrets.
Yeah, Ragrats. Not heard that. I like that.
You haven't seen that?
No.
It's like the tat. Someone's got a tat on it that says no regrets.
I think I've seen something like that.
Yeah.
That's too perfect.
So Jack, you've been living in Brooklyn for 8 years ish, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Bushwick mainly, or
Williamsburg, Bushwick, now Bed-Stuy.
Where did you live when you first moved here?
I lived in Williamsburg. It was like East Williamsburg, you know. It was like off the Montrose stop.
East Williamsburg.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Bushwick.
Yeah, so you know, Bushwick.
On Bushwick Ave.
Between Bushwick and Humboldt.
Yeah. Gotcha.
No, it's I lived there. I moved out here after college. Studied theater. I think we've talked about that before. Yeah. And then came out here.
Did you think you were going to be an actor?
It was something I'd done for a really long time.
Have you done it recently?
Not really.
You think you could? Is it like riding a bike?
I don't know. I think I would like to do it again just because I had fun doing it.
I'm gonna get you in. Like we're gonna. I have some ideas for some kind of shorts that I want to shoot, and if you want to just be
down.
You know, be a person that can walk through this door and say this line.
No, stop.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. You're hired.
Wait, let me get another take.
Yeah.
No, I was. I did that a lot. Like I did that in, elementary school through college. I was doing plays and acting and stuff like that, and I really liked it. I was a theater kid for sure. And then, but I just knew I always played music. I'd been playing music, and basically as soon as I learned how to play guitar, I started writing songs, and so that was always the more urgent passion that I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And so I got to the end of college and I kind of knew that, and I was just sort of like, okay, I'm gonna devote myself to doing that for a while. And I've just been playing music ever since, and I've done some plays here and there, like mostly like stuff with my brother, like the experimental stuff. He's written a lot of plays. Nick Adams.
Nick Adams. Shout out Nick Adams.
Big bro. And I wrote music for those plays as well,
cool.
and like did some scoring stuff like that.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's something I enjoy doing, and I even felt like I got to do it a little bit in the music video I just put out. I mean, I was just like driving around the city lip syncing, and like. Which was funny. I've never really like made a music video where I do that. So that was kind of fun.
I'm gonna check it out now.
Yeah, I mean it's super lo-fi. We shot it on GoPros. We were just like, fuck it, we'll put one on the dash. My brother had one on a Steadicam and was filming me or like stuff out in the city that was interesting. And I just all last week I was like editing it, and I taught myself how to use Premiere.
Oh yeah, you're using Premiere?
Yeah,
you're hired.
All right. I've been it's when you're an artist at this level, you're just like, well, fuck it, let me learn how to do that. Let me
I think that's the best thing. That's why Brooklyn's so cool.
Yeah.
Like everyone in Brooklyn is like does like everything. Yeah. It's like, and like they're not afraid to like, they're like, yeah, I'll just learn that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you play, like, pass me the guitar.
Yeah.
I'll
learn how to do that.
I'll play a couple notes and sing a little song. And like, it's surprising how good people are at random other things. Yeah. Like people they do this, but they also like do a bunch of other stuff really well.
Hopefully that's the creative spirit everywhere, Yeah.
Like
maybe it's concentrated here or something. Or I don't know.
I mean, it's just so. there's like, I was thinking about it today. There's like a specific type of person that kind of comes to New York.
Yeah.
You know, like I was thinking about like the kids in my school that are like, you know, were like good in school and like, you know, organized and did well in school.
Yeah.
Like those aren't the people that I meet in like Bushwick. You know what I mean?
Well, maybe you meet them in like, you know, I don't know, the West Village or something.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, like,
but I know what you mean.
So there's like a specific type of person.
Yeah.
And you know, someone said to me like, there's like a specific type of like confidence that you sort of have to have. And I think that's what's concentrated here in New York. It's like that creative confidence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or at least some kind of, because of the transplant nature of the city, it's full of a bunch of people who decided to leave wherever they were.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah. So you find that a lot with like, I mean, everyone, or not everyone, but a lot of people in New York, but like creatives. I'm more familiar with creatives because I was from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But that seems to be like the sort of, the tone is like, I was, you know, I wasn't a good student. I like to sort of like push the envelope. Like I, you know, I felt like I wasn't being pushed, you know, or wasn't learning things that were important to me. That kind of feeling is like kind of ever present.
I think that's a big I think for a lot of people who move to New York, I feel like maybe they're wherever they're living, some small town somewhere, you know, you see New York and you're just like, those are my people. Yeah. And I think it's global too. I mean, there's so many people from all over the world here that are just cool. Like, they're just like, move to America, move to New York, whatever. And, you know, that's what New York has been since it began. It's totally. Just this hub of people from all over the world trying to better themselves and better their lives.
Yeah. Just, it's like, what is like the driving force other than like non-creatives?
I don't know. Opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, just like, I mean, you can make a lot of money here. You can.
Networking, like knowing people, big headquarter. Is that the.
I think it just being a kind of like global capital in a weird way. I think people just. I don't know, and everybody kind of knows someone who's here. Yeah. So then I think that there's that aspect going on too, where it's like, oh, like your cousin, he lives in New York, you moved there, he'll set you up, and then people go other places from there or stay, you know. But I think in America specifically, I mean, I know people, I've had friends who, you know, they just didn't feel like themselves wherever they were living, or they didn't feel like they could pursue the things, or they didn't have the opportunities to pursue whatever they wanted to pursue on the scale they wanted to. So New York was just for, you know, for fashion, for art, for music, for whatever it is. The city has everything. So, and there might be other cities that are more of a music town, or more like, you know, sometimes it's like, the type of music I make, people are always like, why don't you live in Nashville? I'm just like, I don't know, I like New York.
Yeah, New York's cooler.
Even though Nashville's cool too.
Nashville's amazing.
Nashville's awesome. But like, it's just like, this is where I came. And it was tied into all these other things that had an effect on me as a child. And you see that, I think New York, you see that in just the music you listen to and the movies you watch and TV shows and everything. It's just like New York looms large on the imagination.
Every place I've ever been in the world, it's like, you can just say like America, United States.
Yeah.
And the only place they know is New York.
They're like, New York?
Yeah, exactly. I went to one spot, I think I was in Venice. This guy was like, New York, DC, California. I'm like, yeah, something like that.
You're like, I'm a little more north of New York.
Yeah. I was like, I'm not even gonna get into it.
Yeah. But being from California, I could kind of be like, California. They're like, oh.
Yeah. No, but I was just like, New York, whatever.
Yeah.
That's the only spot you know. But it's interesting that people, you know, I was talking to I think Drew, our friend Drew, about this the other day. Like, it's like everyone knows like the city, and it's gone through like this weird like pandemic phase where a bunch of people have left, you know?
Yeah.
And I wonder how that's going to come back. Like how that's going to, it seems like people are coming back? Like, are people coming back? Do you think, or do you think I see a lot of
Some
people
people
visiting?
Yeah,
There's a
more
lot-
people visiting. I think there's
What's the opposite of an exodus?
Genesis. No.
And enduous?
Induous? No, I have no
Induous.
idea.
We're gonna call it injurious.
Induous.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you think there will be one?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know if I think some people, a large group of people, swath of people have like left and they're never coming back. You know, they like bought homes or started families or they like are. I think
They did their time and
they were like, and I'm out of here.
yeah. I was just waiting.
Yeah, I needed an excuse to leave.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Uh-huh.
But I think there will always be people coming back here. I think
That's the vibe of the city.
Yeah, there's a never-ending stream of young, fresh blood coming in here. You know, making the city's heart pump.
Speaking of fresh blood, you're single.
Hey,
Are you?
yeah,
You still single? Shout out to being single. Single Jack.
Single
I
life.
knew you the whole time that I knew you. You were in a relationship.
Yep.
And you're not newly single.
No, it's been almost 2 years.
You've been hitting the scene?
You know, hanging out here and there.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit. Not
Uh
a lot. I haven't been like on any of the apps or anything like that.
huh.
I've been kind of staying off of those
Laying low.
things. Yeah, I've been working, man. I've been pumping out these albums, man.
That's the way to be.
I mean, it's funny. It's like it's funny and that's sort of a lot of what this album's about too. It's like it's called Mirage, and it's got a song called Illusion. It's like you have all these illusions about what your life's gonna be, or like what would happen if, or you know, you have these things you tell yourself that you should like have, or where you should be in life, or you know, the list goes on and on. But then once you're kind of like dealing with the present moment, it's a whole different bag of fish. It's nothing at all like what you expected.
Totally.
And so
It's really interesting, right?
yeah,
It's
it is.
like you're expected to have, and everyone sort of have their own expectations about what it should be.
Yeah.
And you
Or
have
puts them
yours.
on you, or
yeah. And it's like when you're really like in the moment, nothing is really sort of as clean as that.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's, you know, there's all the voices in your head that kind of tell you like what it should be, or even just like expectations that you think other people might have on you, even if that doesn't exist. Like it's still a voice in your head sometimes. And so I've been trying to, I don't know, do away with those kinds of things. So it's like, you know, to bring it back to like, oh, you all right?
I burped and sneezed.
A breeze.
I breathed.
No, it's, you know, it's like you think like, you know, the times when I'm single, like like I'm never actually like going on a bunch of dates and hanging out. It's like
Yeah.
I'm making a bunch of music.
Yeah.
I'm like cloistered in some like
You're like,
studio.
if I was single, I'd be doing this, and this.
This,
in
that, and the
reality,
other. But in reality, it's like, no, I'm going to
practice space.
I'm going
7 days a week. Haven't showered in 3 days.
Yeah, it's like I'm in no position to even go on a date.
I'm not in position to see anyone.
Yeah, it's like, what is
Yeah,
like,
totally.
yeah, get out.
Get out.
Yeah, no, I mean it's not.
It's like, you know how to use Pro Tools?
I'll learn.
No, you say that to the girl.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, yeah, you know how to multi-track?
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to play this egg shaker.
Exactly. Yeah. Hell yeah.
No, so it's like, yeah, I mean, I've been here and there, but you know, I've mostly just been kind of like, you know, it was a long thing, man. It was a long relationship, so I've kind of just been like taking me time.
I was there, man.
Learning about myself, doing my thing.
Hell yeah. I went through a stint after a breakup. It's pretty tough.
Yeah, man.
You know, it's like, it's weird. I hadn't been affected like that.
Yeah.
I was dating a girl for a while. I remember in high school, I was like really like upset about this girl. That I'm like, I love this girl. You know, I love this girl.
Spray painted on the water tower.
Yeah. I fought a kid. Over
Did
her.
you?
Yeah.
Nice.
That's where I was at.
not nice. Yeah.
Yeah. But then I'm like, oh, whatever. And then I had a few other relationships, not many, but then I dated this girl, broke up, and then kind of affected me pretty heavily for a while.
Yeah.
But it was like, I think I'm better from it, like I learned a bunch of life lessons just like on my own through doing other things that sort of rippled beyond, like, from that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, that's, you gotta love, you gotta learn, you gotta
lose.
You gotta lose.
You gotta love, you gotta lose.
Yeah. I mean, it's, a broken heart is a very effective educational tool,
and it's good for
yourself,
it's good creative tool too.
Others. It's good creatively, but it's like, it just teaches you. I mean, what should happen after a heartbreak like that is you should, but like I've been trying to remain open. I've been trying to, after this kind of situation, because it's easy to close your heart and to get bitter and not let anybody in, but that's no good for you or anybody else in your life.
Totally.
So it's important to learn those, to have that lesson, and to rise above the temptation to kind of guard yourself and to open yourself back up to the world and to people, and just try and be, I don't know, as open and honest with yourself and everybody else around you, even though that's, the success of that varies on a day-to-day basis. But
totally.
I think that's the ultimate goal, is to try and just remain open.
Yeah. Get over it. You think?
And
kind of
get over it.
There is like a get over it kind of.
There's a get
for
over
me, there
it.
was like, all right, you just got to stop being like caught up in this, and like continue to live and like do your own great shit. Yeah. No negativity. Yeah. Towards my ex or whatever, but just like, for me, like, this is like stifling me. To a point where I can't like. I mean, I think it was really helpful in my creative process, and like you're talking, like, emotional health process or whatever. Yeah. But it was an interesting time.
I think everybody needs to go through that kind of thing, just to also become more empathetic. I mean, just to ground you a little bit more, and just to, I don't know, because and to be able to go through that, but then open yourself back up to love again, or whatever it is, because, I don't know, I think that's relationships, even friendships, even whatever, relationships with people are one of the most rewarding things we have in this life.
Yeah, and I sometimes people are there for different seasons of your life, and they're meant to be only for that sort of season in your life, and it's I sort of look at it like that. My relationships with people, I think, are, I find that, I have a lot of people that I know and that I can sort of call upon, but I don't have really a lot of close people. Yeah. Maybe people that would consider us close, but I wouldn't necessarily consider us as close. Yeah. Just because I'm like, that's how I'm with everyone, Yeah, yeah.
But maybe to them, they see it as like, oh, Justin's really close, we're real close, or like,
no, and I find I am close with them, of course, but not like I don't necessarily have to see them every day or whatever. But it's interesting, I think about like people that have been in my life for short times that affected me greatly. People have been in, my life for a long time that have affected me greatly, and it's like interesting to see that dynamic of how that changes you, because I can look back and reflect and see, oh, this is why I'm sort of like this. This is why I'm sort of like this based on that, Yeah,
my time with this person or whatever. Or
totally. And this is what I learned from that person or something like that.
Where this person introduced me to this person who, it's like, the influence someone can have on your life is profound if you allow yourself to be open to meeting people.
Totally.
And meeting those people and having those relationships with those people.
And I think it's really important, New York's it's a New York thing to say, but it's like not like, it's like if you know a lot of people, like New York I find is a networking city. It's like you can find someone that does something that's really cool. Like everyone does something that's cool. Everyone works for like CNN or something, Like they have like,
Yeah.
they're like in the headquarters of some brand or something,
Yeah.
you know, and they know some other guy who's like the owner of this spot,
the
you
head
know?
honcho or whatever.
Yeah. But it's good to know those kinds of people, you know. I think the more people you know, the more people you can sort of learn from. I think everyone has something to teach you.
Oh,
you know?
of course. Yeah.
Even if it's bad, if it's good. Like, I look forward to that opportunity of like, what can you teach me? You know,
Yeah.
like what can I teach you? Maybe
Yeah.
you know, I can help you advance something. Maybe it's bad, maybe it's good.
Yeah.
But you know, that's what we're all here for. You know.
You're pretty open to all that. I mean, like, you're always meeting people or
Totally.
hanging out with different people and learning and enjoying and hanging out. Like, you know, it's like I admire that in you.
Nice,
you know?
thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Are you that? Are you that type of person as well?
I'm pretty open.
Yeah.
I mean, I can make friends pretty easily.
Totally.
I can be really friendly and really open right off the bat. And I sometimes, I mean, that's also even like where we worked at the Nomad,
Yeah.
you know, it's like being a doorman. It's like, you're like,
Kind of surfacey.
it can be surfacey. Like, I'm really good at being like polite and nice and like pretty open, but then I feel like I also have my crew of who are like my really close friends.
Totally.
And then like those are my people, and I know a lot of other people that I'm nice with and cool
Yeah.
with and very like cordial and can have a good time, but you know, they're not here.
Uh-huh.
They're not in the inner crew.
Yeah.
They're in the periphery. And I still like them, and it's just the way it is sometimes.
Yeah, and
It's
I
like-
think that's the way. Like, I don't think there's any difference in like you can't rate them lower, or you can't rate. It's like that's just the type of connection that is. You
yeah,
know,
it's
like
just the relationship.
a loose connection. Have you ever
Yeah.
read any like Malcolm Gladwell?
No, I haven't. Yeah, I know about him, but I've never read
You
any of his
should
books.
read. They're dope. It's like basically like social studies. Like
Yeah.
he studies like social kind of trends. You know,
Mhm.
it's really interesting.
I know about like that one, The Tipping Point. and I
The
know
Tipping
about,
Point is
like,
really
was
cool.
it 10,000
Outliers.
Hours? Yeah.
Outliers is one.
10,000 Hours.
Yeah.
I once bought a Malcolm Gladwell book for a friend that I thought he was like into him, but he had not been. He had been like, you know, he had sort of been like, I
Lying about
don't
it?
like Malcolm Gladwell, and I was
Oh.
like, oh, I thought I heard differently. Like,
He was like a hater.
no, him or a hater, yeah. I was like, he was just like, I think I had heard him like talking shit one day, and I was just like, for some reason I was like, oh, I thought you liked Malcolm Gladwell. I was young. I was just like, I bought you this present.
That's a weird gift as a young man to buy another.
I try to be.
friend.
I don't think I was a teenager, but I was like, it's
Long
funny.
story.
I'm usually pretty good at my gift giving abilities, but like that was one of my instances where I was like, I just crossed the wires.
Uh-huh.
But I've heard about his books, and like, I don't know, they're interesting to me.
The ebooks.
Yeah.
I listened to it on audiobook.
Yeah.
And he narrates it.
Oh, cool.
And it's really good. It's just like, oh, really? That's cool. Like most NHL players are born in like, you know, the February, March, April, and he dives into why that is. You know, like,
Yeah.
and that
Winter, spring, cusp kind of territory.
It's like when they're born and when the school year starts, and because they're big and like 8th grade, bigger than they have a full year to develop above.
Yeah.
You know, the people who were born in November or October.
Yeah.
So they get more attention. They're better. They get better training, and sort of it trends on. One of the interesting ones was
Weird
like
thing to track. That's cool.
yeah, it's like he tracked shit like that. He tracked word of mouth. Like he did a whole study on like how word of mouth works. Like,
Weird.
That's what
That's cool.
I think that's in the tipping point.
Yeah. It's almost like anthropological, but it's also got this weird like. Does some of his stuff have like a weird economic bent to it as well?
Yeah,
Or,
so
like,
there was like one of the things that like the New York City, I think you'll be interested in this. In New York City, there was this idea that basically two of the changes that they made in New York City to like clean New York City up, and maybe a few other things they did, but one of the things was called a broken windows law or whatever.
Broken window theory. I think.
Yeah. So like if the windows are broken, then people are gonna act shitty around them.
Yeah.
So like they just like
It's broken anyway. This place sucks.
Yeah, we're gonna trash it and do fucked up shit here. So they that was one of the things that they implemented, and then the other thing was like graffiti on trains. They were like, if the train, I think the broken theory was also on the train. Like if the train looks like shit, people are spray painting on it.
Yeah, we'll clean up the city. Maybe people will want to.
So basically, this one guy just said, he came in and he said like, just make sure every train that comes out got to be clean, and like we'll let the spray painters spray paint 3 days in the bay. They'll do it, and then we'll just wash it, discourage them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's so it's like he said, it's like little changes like that affect sort of big influential things. Like the reason that Rosa Parks was so influential in that moment, who she was, what she represented. I think there was a tipping point, sort of like when everyone sort of like was protesting the bus. Like, well, how did that happen? How did that get to the tipping point where like no one was taking the bus?
Yeah, where she was that person who was the tipping point, linchpin, whatever.
Totally, and he's
that's not a good word, but maybe not that word.
Right. But anyways, Malcolm Gladwell's super cool.
Yeah.
Check out his book. Do you use Audible? You ever heard of Audible?
I know about it. I never use it. Yeah,
it's just like doing laundry, cleaning your spot, just throwing a book.
I should do that. I mean, that's like kind of where I live with podcasts. It's like
it's basically a podcast.
Yeah, but it's a book. You feel like you're like doing.
You learn a bunch of stuff. You're like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Like I just throw my earbuds in on the train or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an old-fashioned guy. I got a lot of books around, taking up space. But I mean, I'd have some audiobooks that I've listened to, but I've never done Audible. Yeah, mostly the podcasts I listen to. I listen to a lot of like comedy podcasts or interviews, honestly.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
What kind of stuff?
I like Mark Maron. What the fuck with Mark Maron?
Uh-huh.
I like all of his interviews, and
nice.
then I really like that You Talkin' U2 podcast, or the Are You Talkin' REM Me. It's
what's that?
I know there's a lot of words coming at you.
Are you talking?
It's a comedy podcast with Scott Aukerman, who does like Comedy Bang Bang, and he directed In Between Two Ferns and stuff like that. And then Adam Scott, who's an actor, he was on Parks and Rec. He played that guy Ben on it, and like I don't know, just he's in a lot of other funny, awesome movies.
Oh right, yeah.
And they're just bros. They're just old friends talking about like bands that they really like, and they've done U2, REM, and they do Talking Heads was the last one. But it's ridiculous. It's really dumb. It's super funny because it's just like they'll talk about the albums, but then they'll also like bullshit for like the majority of it.
Like, yeah, this album's good, but I saw a homeless person taking a dump on like
just whatever, or because they're old friends, they have all these stories, and they're just they're just two buddies who've known each other forever shooting the shit, and there's all these like weird inside jokes, and it's just so ridiculous and dumb.
I love that.
And that's probably the podcast that like got me into podcasts, because I was just like, this is dumb, this is funny, it can kind of take over my consciousness for a little bit.
Totally.
And like just like
I'll have something to tap into.
I'll laugh, I'll have fun, because like I don't know, the rest of my time it's like if I'm reading, I'm usually trying to read some like gnarly book that like I feel like I should read, or like it's like
Pan's Labyrinth,
or like fucking Don Quixote or some shit. I'm just like, I should read this.
Dante's Inferno.
It's like, and I love that stuff. I love reading those old books, but like sometimes with a podcast, I just kind of want to I want to laugh.
I want to hear someone have a conversation for me.
Yeah, I want to hear, if it's someone like Mark Maron, then it's like usually pretty interesting and heartfelt, and like I'm learning about stuff there. But then with a lot of the comedy podcasts, it's like I just want to feel good.
A giggle every few moments.
I just want to think about. I just want to hear dumb, funny jokes that like take me out of whatever anxiety or whatever, like kind of, especially with like being a creative person, it's like I gotta do this, or I gotta write this, or like what's this idea, or like all this stuff. It's like it's nice to, if I'm folding laundry or at the laundromat, just hear some dumb shit that makes me feel good.
I find honestly one of my favorite things to do is to paint and listen to podcasts.
Oh yeah,
I like there's some things that I can do, and like either listen to podcasts or audiobooks. Like driving and audiobooks are like I can listen to a whole book.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, this is what I'm doing. I can listen to multiple books.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the Dissect podcast?
No.
You may or may not be really interested in this. So the Dissect podcast is basically this guy does like in-depth analysis of albums, of music albums.
Yeah.
So this season he just put out like a Yeezus analysis where he goes like song by song. Each song has like an hour dedicated to breaking down like what each line means and sort of the context in Kanye's life. And you know, and it's
some serious, you know, magnification,
meta-analysis. Dude, it's insane. And he's done them for like a bunch of Kendrick albums.
Cool.
Childish Gambino's, Tyler the Creator's.
Cool.
I think he's done some like Beyonce albums. But it's super cool. It's like, oh shit! Like if you really want to, like, you know, you
getting
know,
into it.
Yeah. He did one for Dark Twisted Fantasy. I think.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I would be into that. I mean, like, I love that stuff. You know, especially with artists that you really like. I mean,
totally. And you know all of it, and it's like it paints all the context. You know, like there's this. He like, you know, this one line, hoes don't want to live at the top of the mountain. He goes like, that's like based on this movie from the 70s by this like
experimental filmmaker.
Yeah.
Jodorowsky
exactly.
Or some shit.
Yeah, exactly. Jodorowsky.
Was it that guy?
Yeah, literally.
Cool.
It like talks about this movie, you know, and like what that reference is. It's so crazy. But I'm like, this is amazing. For me, it's like it's super cool. He did some Frank Ocean projects. Which I just found out about it recently. Yeah. And I started the Yeezus
doing
one.
the deep dive.
Going Yeezus. And then see where I go. I want to do Frank Ocean.
Yeah. Which album is it for? Blonde or
I think
Channel
he did
Orange
one for Blonde and Channel Orange.
Cool.
But I think I guess I know them both pretty well.
Yeah.
Blonde's dope though. Blonde's a classic for sure.
Oh yeah. When that came out, I was all in.
Totally.
But that's like we were talking a little bit about earlier, like, you know, it's like the art matters so much to you when you're working on it and putting it out, and like for the most part, like most people aren't going to
do that deep dive,
but then you do maybe reach that tipping point or whatever in your career where then people want to do that deep dive.
But eventually. So here's the thing.
I would do that shit with Bob Dylan, like all the time.
But do you think that person meant to do that, or was it just a part of their expression in that moment? That's what I find. Like, can you explain? Because there's been some moments when I've been like, you know, this came out and this came out and this came out, and it represents something, but, you know, was Kanye thinking about that kind of thing at that moment, or was he just sort of like, you know, that was just sort of what was happening.
It's probably just in the stew of, like, you know, what he's going through and what his influences are and everything like that. But I think that, like, I don't know, when I'm writing something, you know, sometimes you think that you, like, have, not all the time, sometimes a line, like, is there because it just sort of, like it fits in the stew. It fits. It just like it fits in there, and it's part of it. Informs the rest of the song, and it's just, you know, it's a little bit of color there, or it's just like, you know, sometimes. And even on this album that I'm putting out, it's like some lines are like gut punchers, and then others are way more like impressionistic and kind of like open to interpretation. It's like I know what they mean to me, and usually I have a pretty good idea if a line has a couple of different meanings. Usually I can kind of be aware of that, but then who knows, sometimes someone will come to you and be like, this meant this to me, and you'll be like, whoa, that is something I did not consider.
Or even just the idea of like, maybe once you analyze it, you can say, oh, this is what I meant by that. But in the moment, you know, while you're saying it and it's coming out, you can sort of like, oh, like you were saying earlier, like, you know, I can't even like believe like that I was saying that, or like, you know what I mean?
Well, you're probably just going. Probably a lot of it's just instinct. You know, you're just going on instinct. You're in the zone. You're in the, like, you know, the flow of it, and you're just kind of like, this feels right. I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna hopefully not question it too much. And if it's something you want to keep, cool. If it works, awesome. If it doesn't work, or if it's not what you want to say, then, like, you know, sometimes you'll change it or whatever. But a lot of times, certain lines you just, it's okay, I think, to have if it's what you want, and if it's like the overall like tone and message you want to send, like there will be some lines in there where you're kind of like, I was just feeling this. I don't know exactly, like, this could mean a bunch of different things, but like I'm not going to be like, I don't know, I'm not going to be like, this is what this means, or like every line is
Totally.
like has its like perfect encapsulating moment or something. And some writers are like that and others aren't. Some people are like, endless revisions to make sure that the like line is packed with as much meaning as possible.
Totally.
And that's super cool.
I think that is really cool.
It is cool. But and then I think there's other people who
Like jab.
yeah, or they just like, they're like putting a bunch of things out, and they're, I don't know. I mean, I hate to always relate it back to like, the influences of mine, but it's like you have someone like Leonard Cohen or something who is just like, every line and every song is like a perfect little like jewel. That, like
It all means something.
Yeah, and then you have Neil Young, who's like, he means everything he says. He's got his whole heart out in there, but he's also producing so much music that like, and is moving so fast that sometimes he's like, yeah, that line, yeah, it works. The meter's right. It's good. It sounds good. Let's keep it going. Like,
next track.
Yeah, and it's like just kind of trusting the instinct of that a little bit more. And then sometimes you get a song like, there are plenty of great artists who've written like kind of bad songs as well. But I think that's part of it. I've written bad songs.
Totally. Everyone has.
Yeah, everyone's got bad art that they've made.
You don't hit every time, especially, just never.
Yeah.
No, especially, just generally.
But it's about creating it. It's about like, even if I, write a bad song tomorrow, it's like you kind of, for me, I just feel like you write every song that comes along and give your whole heart to it when you're doing it. And then later you can kind of be like, oh yeah, that one's cool. That one, not so much. That one.
But what came after that, during that, the day after, or the next couple days, like, that came from like just that little piece of that garbage.
That came from that, or even like, like, oh, like I like those lines, like, or I like that melody or something. Like that'll happen. Like we were talking about voice memos. Like I've got, thousands of voice memos, just like of even just like 6-second long little snippets of or something. And like it'll be, I never really do it on purpose, but it'll be interesting it's interesting to see what comes back around, what melodies come back around, what progressions come back around, and you'll kind of be doing something and you'll just be like, that feels familiar. You're like, is that another person or is that something I've come up with? And then like you'll kind of remember, like, and sometimes it is something that you're like, oh, that melody is this. Okay, well, scrap that. And then like, but then you'll have like something else where you'll be like, oh, that's like a melody I was singing to myself from a while back, and like I can fit it here. It's almost like weird puzzle pieces sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's a great approach. Like, I think, sometimes people pull things from way back. Yeah. Something that's fresh on their mind way back. I think that's okay to do. I think that's part of the creative process. It doesn't have to be like a linear thing. Like, this one's going to be better than my next one, and this, and then next, and then next. It's more like, I'm more confident in my approach to how I'm doing this more than anything. Because all these ideas come from just either life or past things that you've created.
Sometimes you come back around to a feeling too.
Totally, exactly, and it means more to you the time when you're like, oh shit, that's hitting now.
Yeah, or it's, you come back around to the feeling and you've lived more, or you've experienced more, and you can kind of see it with a fresh perspective.
Totally.
Yeah, usually in a deeper way.
Yeah. All right, Jack. Well, I think we should wrap this up.
Cool.
I don't know how much we've gone, but I appreciate you doing this. We're out of beer.
Guess that's a good ending point.
Yeah, hell yeah, that's when I find it's a good time to end the party. But we're gonna do the show this Sunday. For anyone who's watching, it's gonna be this episode's gonna release on Sunday, so watch it tonight. Do we have a time? 7:00?
Not entirely sure yet.
We're gonna figure
Probably
that
around
out.
7.
We'll put the link in the bio of this episode.
Yep.
and I'm sure we'll be pumping other stuff out.
Yeah.
But Jack, let's cheers our empty beers cans. Thank
I have
you for
a
doing this.
tiny little bit in
Same.
here. Cheers.
Same, my brother. Thank
Cheers,
you.
man. Yeah.